guys, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new, hi, welcome. As you can already tell probably from the title of this video, what I'm going to be doing today is crocheting a beanie, but not just any beanie. It is going to be a pumpkin mixed with a cat ear, mixed with just like cute fall type of aesthetic. I have not been able to find exactly what I'm looking for online for this. I see a bunch of like really cute actual pumpkin beanies that have the cute little leaves on them and the little stems on them, but nothing that's like a cat ear with like the little ears and like a pumpkin. So today I'm going to draw up a sketch. We're going to try to create this from my brain as much as I can with the skills that I have of crochet and just see where this video takes me. You guys will know by the end of this video what it looks like. I don't know just yet what it's going to look like, but hopefully it's going to be good. I'm going to be using acrylic yarn. I think I'm going to be using the Big Twist and the Mainstays Walmart brand yarn, so it's going to be very affordable, very easy to do. So I'm not going to keep you guys too longer. Let's just hop right in. I'm so excited to make this. This is the first of many fall ideas that I've got up in my head to make this year. And I just finished this cardigan actually that has a hood on it. Many more things to come. With that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and jump right into the video. If you guys haven't already, make sure you like, subscribe, and comment down below more ideas for crochet things for me to do. And without that being said, let's go ahead and just get started with the video.
Starting off with actually drawing the sketch to this, since I didn't have a lot to go off of online, this is what I came up with for the actual general concept. Then I looked up on YouTube. This was the tutorial video that I used. I will link it down below for you guys. And this was the yarn I used. I used the Mainstays 100% acrylic yarn in the shade orange. It doesn't really have like a name like some brands do. It's just the orange color. I used a 5.5mm crochet hook, and now looking back, this was the hat that I made beforehand, and I now realize I use a different size hook, and that's why my sizing will be off later on in the video. Starting right off, I'm going to go ahead and chain 60, so that way this will be the perfect appropriate size that I need. After I was done chaining 60, I chained up 2 extra. That's going to act as my first double crochet. And this was how long it was, and basically this is how it's going to go around, kind of demonstrated what it will look like. And I just went along into the 3rd stitch from my hook and went along and just did double crochets into the entire thing. So here I am working into the last stitch for the first row of this beanie. Once that was all said and done, I chained 2 and just kept on working row by row, going along until I had the desired length that I needed. Here is where I stopped on my beanie. When you fold it in half, you can kind of see the picture right here on what it's going to look like. I did 60 rows in total, and here is a white beanie in comparison to the one that I made, which I thought having them look about the same size, that would have been okay. We will soon realize that that was not the case, but here it is right here. All was going well. I decided to continue using the video that I will link down below for you guys, and went on the inseam of each side of the hat, and I wanted to make sure that I went slow and steady, doing slip stitches into each side of the beanie. Since we folded it in half, there's 2 different sides, 2 different stitches, as you can see, and just working on it. It took a little bit of time because I wanted to make sure that it was going to be even, and even though you're not going to see this seam that's right here, I still wanted to make sure it was as seamless as possible and lined up perfectly. once I was done doing that, here is what the finished product looks like. Both sides seamed in. I already had flipped it inside out at this point so you guys could see it. And I also folded up the brim of it like a normal beanie would be. Here it is with comparison to my sketch. And here I am now going to start working on the ears. So I had to figure out what placement I was going to use for the ears. And this was a little bit tricky, but what I did was figure out where they're gonna go and place them just like this on the beanie. And my biggest thing was making sure that these were even and symmetrical with each other. I had that issue a little bit where I had to go back and forth and make sure that they were not too crooked and were straight. This was the yarn I used. It's the Mainstays white from Walmart, and then I used a 3.75mm crochet hook. The best way I can describe this is I chained 8 up and I did 7 single crochets with doing an increase in that middle stitch. It's the best way I can describe that I did it. The best, if you can come up with an idea on how you would use a triangle in crochet format, that's basically what I did. It looked a little like this. If you guys want a more detailed video on how I actually in-depth made this, let me know down below, and if enough people want me to, I will make a video going into more of a depth each step by step on it. But I chained 1, took out my hook and cut off the yarn. Then I just pulled the yarn, make sure that it was secure. Then I would go back in later and weave it in. But for now, this is what it looks like, and honestly I don't think it's too bad considering I didn't really know what I was doing and kind of just freehanded it and wrote it down as I went. Then of course you can't just have one of these. So after I was done with one, I went on off camera, made another one, and the best way I can describe this is that I just used my darning needle and I just stitched it on to the beanie. I had to do this off camera because I had to go in trial and error of trying to get them as symmetrical as possible. And now it's time to move on to the stem and the leaf portion. Doing this, I'm going to be using the Big Twist Value yarn, and this is in the shade light green. To pair with that, we are going to be using the Mainstays 100% acrylic yarn. It's just in the shade brown. Again, there's not really a shade name for it. And I'm going to be using the same 3.75mm hook that I used for the white cat ears. I went and chained up a total of 8 chains, and I'm going to work 7 single crochets for a total of 12 rows into this. But the key here is that you want to work into the back loop only. That is going to create this ribbed effect that a lot of times you see on like cardigans for like the ribbing or something like that. It creates a really nice stem. And then I went in and I slip stitched down the side right here to create a actual full-on stem effect. Moving on to the green little leaf part, I ended up chaining up a total of 11 chains. And this is going to be a little different. Instead of working in your traditional chains, you're going to flip it over and we're going to be working into the backs of the chains. So these little divots, these little back hump or back loops, I'm not exactly sure what you're supposed to call them, but they're going to create a better effect than using the actual chains. I went in and I did 3 double crochets into every single one, and using a 3.75mm on this acrylic yarn did make it a little tricky in order to get them into the back loops of the stitches. You just have to watch, make sure you know what you're doing, and in the end it's going to create this really nice curly Q type leaf stemmy type thing that is just going to look really cute on the beanie. You can do something else for it, you can go and not do it at all, but I think that it just creates this really good effect that is going to look really cute for the beanie. And here we are back with the actual beanie itself, and here I am just demonstrating for you guys with the stem and the leaf part to show you where they're supposed to be placed. It's kind of obvious though. You don't have to make it exactly symmetrical and be in the middle, but if you want, you can just count your rows that are on the front of your hat, and that will help give you your middle estimate of where you're going to put the stem and the leaf for your beanie. Taking the 2 pieces, I decided to sew the leaf part or the stem together first, so that way it would just be one thing less that I had to sew all together in the beanie. So using my darning needle and going in, I just went in and kept myself a long tail, and using the tail that was already with my green yarn, attached to it. Just went in, sewed it in together. I am not the best at demonstrating how to sew at all whatsoever, so this is just all a little choppy, and I do apologize for that. But then did the same thing, leaving that big long tail with the brown stem so that I could sew it into the top of the beanie, trying to make it a little easier.
So the hat just got finished. It came out looking really good. The only issue is it's way too big for my head. Like, this is it on. It is entirely too big. Everything is placed the way I want it to be. Everything's the size I want it to be. The hat itself is just way too big. So this one is actually going to go to my boyfriend, and I'm going to work up another one that's actually going to fit me, and then we will have the final product, which this actually didn't take me very long. It took me like maybe a day to do. The biggest part is just doing the actual like cat beanie part, like this whole orange part. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work up another beanie for myself, so then me and my boyfriend will have matching beanies, and then I'm going to show you the final product after I've come back and made a whole nother one. So it's probably going to be tomorrow. The chaining I don't think is the issue necessarily, it's just the fact that the rows are so many. So I'm going to do the same amount of chains. I'm just going to do less rows since my stitches are kind of big. I will come back once I made a smaller variation of this. It looks exactly the same. Alright, so here we are at the end of the video. Here is how the hat turned out. I am really loving it, and I also love that it's really quick and easy to work up. I can work this up in a couple hours, definitely within a day for sure. This is the 17 rows going across that I did. I don't know how well it's gonna look, but this was doing 19 rows, so just 2 extra rows added on made this really big baggy type of effect that I don't even know if it's gonna come on camera, which is cute and everything. It's just too big for me. I need more to be taken in on the sides so that way it would fit better, just like how if I did the 17 rows it did do that. So it just goes to show that changing just even like 2 rows is going to change your project. I love the way that it turned out. This was a lot of just using things that I already knew how to make. Like, I already knew how to make the actual beanie itself. I just freehanded the little triangles, and then I did the little stem on top, just doing a ribbing effect that I've already done for pumpkins, and then just doing a little tiny leaf type thing, just doing some double crochets. It honestly came up way better than I thought in my head. I didn't have any like ideas or rough sketches to really go off of. I tried to look up on Pinterest and stuff, or even look at patterns on Etsy. Not anybody that I can tell has done something similar to this. I couldn't find it. There's probably somebody out here who has made it. It's just really hard to find the picture and or video for it. But I'm glad that I could pull this out of my brain and come up with something really cute to share with you guys to make. With that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and end the video here. If you guys haven't already, make sure you subscribe, like, and comment down below more ideas for me to crochet in the future, because we've got a lot of fall crocheted fun things that's gonna be happening on this channel this year. And yeah, with that being said, I will see you guys in my next video.